Hey folks, you're watching the Skate to Great show. I'm here with my good friend Norman Rumack. I'm Kayvon Superfan Zahedi, and we are live. Actually, we're not live. No, we are being taped for this the sequel to our last episode we had, which was kind of lengthy at times. This will be a little bit shorter.
Short and sweet.
A little bit short and sweet, yeah. So let's get right to it, Norm. You want to talk about the NHL playoffs right now, so let's get straight into it.
Yeah, well, we're waiting to see who's going to go up against Las Vegas, because as we're recording this, it's Tampa Bay and Washington in a showdown to see who's going to come out on top of the final game of that series. So either way, should be a great series. For Washington, it would be quite the story. They've struggled so often. They got past their nemesis, Pittsburgh Penguins. Especially for Alex Ovechkin, who I'm sure has been yearning to be in a Stanley Cup final.
Of course he is.
Yeah, and Vegas is just one of the most amazing stories in the history of professional sports for an expansion team.
Sure.
To have a great regular season. Everybody was waiting for them to collapse. They didn't. Everybody thought for sure they'd collapse in the playoffs, and here they are. And they did exceptionally well in the playoffs. They didn't just squeak by.
They've been a tremendous team.
An amazing story. And credit the NHL, first of all. I know some people in Canada like crapping on the NHL about their selection of markets to go to. Well, Vegas, you got to give them credit. It was a genius move. A genius move. They went there ahead of the NFL. I mean, the NFL will be there with Oakland eventually, but
right, precisely.
They went there ahead of the NFL, ahead of the NBA. It's been a smashing success. It's been great. And they went to a market where obviously Canadians and Americans who are hockey fans visit all the time. And on top of that, the Vegas team has been a sensation. And just to get to the finals, and then if they win it, it's unprecedented in the history of professional sports for an expansion team in a major professional sport to get to a championship and to have the opportunity perhaps to win it. So.
You don't think the whole go to where the money's at, go to where the money is, Sin City, the whole gambling mecca of North America,
well,
it being, sort of the main, it's a bit of a novelty in some ways to have a National Hockey League or any professional sports franchise go to a city or town like Las Vegas.
Yeah, but you can gamble online from wherever you want, from Timbuktu.
So you can. I mean, it doesn't have a lot to do with being the center of where all the bookmaking is and where all the betting, sports betting and gambling is. I mean, it kind of is a little dodgy and it gives a little bit of a...
I
think it's a...
There's nothing dodgy about it.
No, but you have to think of it this way. The NHL for years have been yearning to get a major city like Las Vegas, an ice hockey team. And on top of that, look at it, they've moved the NHL awards to Vegas now for the past God knows how long. We haven't had a single NHL awards year in, year out here in Canada for so long. I think with the case of you being...
It doesn't matter where it originated. Nobody cares. You're watching on TV. Do you have a rat's tail?
Do you honestly think that this is what the NHL wanted? They wanted a major American city like Las Vegas to have a Stanley Cup. Like to me, I don't want to call it something.
They just want a market where they're doing well, and they're doing well. That's all they want. They're in business to make money.
There's no hidden catch to this. There's no conspiracy theory. Let's make this team go all the way and win.
Save the conspiracy theories for the U.S. government. That's
you don't think this is fixed? This whole Cinderella run thing, this underdog supposedly. Let me tell you.
I think that's a bunch of hooey.
Let me tell you though.
Let me tell you. I got to tell our esteemed producer Evan Cosner.
Go ahead.
Evan, I don't know if it matters, but there's a little wire that became detached on the floor. It's all good. It's all good.
He says Dave's just
I don't squat about technology.
Neither do I. I mean,
I'm just trying to be on top of it.
We are grade A Luddites, folks. Also, I want to point out the name of the charity is Skate to Great, creating possibilities for children on ice. Yeah. When it comes to ice skating, people, youngsters who are new to this whole, recreational activity that is ice skating.
You can just say skating.
Well, I call it ice skating.
Yeah, in Europe they say ice skating because they're not sure.
We've got to differentiate. Also, it's ice hockey. It's not hockey because if you're playing hockey, you're playing on a field. No, come on. Let's.
North America's hockey. Folks in England, just like.
So all the folks in Europe and UK, if you're tuning in, this is all to differentiate it.
Yeah, just like in Europe, people don't like hearing they almost vomit when they hear the word soccer.
The football.
It's football.
No.
They absolutely think they laugh at you when you say soccer in England or France or anywhere. They don't call it soccer.
Football is round. It's not a bloody oval-shaped pigskin type whatever.
Yeah, but they call it football.
I know. I mean, it's rugby too. I mean, like that's not. Really,
I don't read any of the English papers where they address the Premier League as the soccer league.
Association football, and then there's match football. You know.
So I'm just saying, in North America, we just call it hockey because it's understood. It's hockey.
We're also going to talk about
it's redundant.
We're also going to talk about speaking of fake football. We're not talking about the fake football, NFL and all that, AFL. The XFL is coming. Yeah. The XFL is coming in. They're reinstating the XFL. I want to get your thoughts on that with Vince McMahon, the chairman of the World Wrestling Entertainment, bringing it back to the fold. I think it's going to be highly entertaining. The fake football being even more fake because wrestling is fake. Professional wrestling's fake. You know it's phony. I know it's phony. It's even more phony when it's the XFL, but it's an entertainment thing, and it brings the soap operas to the side.
I don't think it'll last all that long.
Well, how do you think the money's
they already failed once.
Well, no, come on. Like, where are the markets going to be this time around? Do you think? Is there a Toronto? Is it Winnipeg? Where they're bringing? We already have Canadian Football League. We talk about Johnny Manziel getting signed.
Well, you got to ask yourself, how many entertainment dollars does the average person have to spend on all this stuff? Like, where do you spend your money first?
Well, first of all, the
you
World Wrestling
Toronto,
Entertainment.
Between all the teams here, like, where are you going to find?
When you think of the World Wrestling Entertainment, the billions of dollars and the absolute legions of viewers that they get tuning in. We're talking about like on the scale of the royal wedding. We're talking about billions.
Yeah, but the XFL already had a league, and it went.
Well, now the times have sort of moved on and changed. I think there's more of a thirst. They wanted. Maybe it was demand that wanted it back. You have to understand it was a lot of these professional players out of contracts, so they wanted to get paid more money. They could make more money playing in a league like the XFL.
So I'll ask you, if you're the average consumer and you have college football, and then you have the NFL. Like, where do you have the time and money? How many football games can you pay money or get involved in and have time to watch in a week?
Well, look at it this way. Look how much revenue the World Wrestling Entertainment...
Yeah, no, I get that. But I'm asking you, how much time do you have to watch? How many football games can you watch in a week between college football in the States and the NFL and then all the other sports you watch? Like, who has time to watch all this stuff?
Well, first of all, there's a week in between matches or whatever you want to do.
No, I know, but like I'm saying, but you've got other things you need to do or you make time for. Like the average family person or even college students who have to study. Like, how much entertainment time do you have? Unless you don't, hopefully have a job, but if you don't.
You think some of these sports nuts, these couch potatoes or armchair quarterbacks or whatever you call them, don't have the time to tune into a lot of games throughout week by week?
But it's like
Sunday night football, Sunday night football, Monday night football on in America. Then you've got TSN's coverage of the Canadian Football League, which is a better league in my opinion than the NFL any day.
So I'm asking you, how many nights a week do you have time to watch? And then you got baseball going on.
It is a bit tricky if you're the ultimate sports fanatic nut who wants to.
More important than that, how many dollars does the average income earner have to spend on all this stuff?
That's another thing. I don't know if the XFL is a pay-per-view thing. Like, was it that the experiment?
Well, they're not running it for free.
No, he's a guy like a shrewd businessman like Vince McMahon and his real. Clever tactics of putting... Well. This is going to add to a sports entertainment empire, in a lot of ways, bringing the XFL back to the masses.
If it works,
and who knows, you could do something... Obviously, it's going to be a North American league. It could get to the point where they could put it into a global scale like NFL Europe had.
Put it this way. All the leagues that have gone up against the NFL have fallen flat on their tuchus, so...
Well, then again, it's not an easy market to be in.
No, it's not about whether it's easy. It's about whether it works. No one cares if it's easy. Like, if it was easy, everybody would do it. It's not about whether it's easy. To me, you just look at the history. What league going against the NFL has succeeded, and for how long? Like, so, they last a year, they last two, or whatever it is.
That's a good point.
The old USFL from the 1980s.
Correct.
Donald Trump owned one of the franchises.
Didn't Burt Reynolds have a...
He may have. I can't recall. We were talking about the 1980s. So yeah, they made some of their players went on to great things in the NFL. I'm just saying, the NFL. I mean, it's such a big. It's the most. So
of course
far,
it is. Globally,
successful league in North America.
Globally.
Well,
look at the UK. I mean, every year they bring it to
I don't think they've superseded the Premier League in terms of revenue. But
no, they haven't. Of course not. I mean, when you think of a lot of people who are just interested by it, I find no fascination at all, save for the kicking game. So special teams and that. But I've got to tell you, a league that's older like the CFL and that should be a more difficult league to play, especially people who have been playing in the NFL, coming over to the CFL, not adjusting to the standards of the Canadian Football League, different rules, different, I mean, they've struggled themselves to go from one to the other. You'd think better caliber players going to a league like that.
It's a mixed bag. There's been some NFL players.
I mean, I like the CFL as a brand itself. I think it's a distinctly Canadian brand. Right. You would support the oldest fake football league in North America.
Well, anyways, the CFL, the only market that the CFL struggles in is Toronto, because as a native Torontonian, I can
Which
say
is
this.
odd in some ways, isn't
No,
it?
it's not odd. Toronto,
Tell me why.
Toronto is very much a wannabe American city. So a lot of Toronto sports fans, they crave recognition from Americans. Like,
You really
that's
think
why
so?
you hear some, not all, some Raptor fans or some people with the Raps saying, well, they want to be on American TV more. Well, you can't get on when you fail in the playoffs like they do. Secondly, Americans are they're like every sports fan. They want to see their own teams, even if their own teams are lousy. You know, so I don't care. Take whatever team you like. If you're a Torontonian, if you're a Maple Leafs fan,
Right.
if the Maple Leafs aren't playing, are you going to go to your way to watch what name, fill in the blank of another team? You're going to cancel your plans on a Saturday night? No, you're not.
No.
So why would Americans rearrange their schedule to watch the Toronto Raptors? Like, why should they? It's not their team. Why
Fair
should
enough.
they care?
No, you're right.
So you got to give up. I'm just saying, but Torontonians, so the CFL caters to Canadians. So
It does.
because they don't play games against American teams,
Correct.
some Torontonians say, oh, well, it's not good enough. Well, they're wrong. It is good enough. It's a great
I
league.
agree.
And I like
Their balls are bigger.
Let's talk about Americans, okay? Americans support college sports,
Correct.
right?
It's
and
all
they
about
don't-
college sports
Most
then.
of them will never be in the pros. They support high school sports.
Right.
You know, we know the
No
the legendary
grassroots.
stories of Texas and Pennsylvania,
That's
Florida,
right.
everywhere else. 10 and 20,000 will go out on a Friday night to watch a high school football game. They don't care that most of those kids will never be pros. Most of them will never make college. They don't worry that it's not on TV wherever around the world. But for some reason, Torontonians specifically, and again, I'm born and raised in Toronto, so I can say this, have this obsession with Americans watching their teams or playing against American teams. So they kind of poo-poo the Canadian Football League. It's stupid.
That's
completely
retrograde. That's
stupid.
insulting in a lot of ways.
It's like, take pride in your own city. What
No,
do you
it's
care
true.
whether
It is
Americans
true.
are watching it or
It is
not?
true.
Or you're playing against American teams. Or it's not the best. Well, you know what? U.S. college football is not the best because most of them won't be in the pros. And yeah, look at the numbers that come out to watch all the major Division I, even the lower divisions. They don't worry that it's not the best. Only in Toronto do they worry, well, it's not the best. And I'm saying this as a native Torontonian. I think some Torontonians need to come on, give your head a shake. What do you care? Why do you care if Americans are watching it? You know, whatever team you support them. Whether, I'm sure over in Europe, it's the same with their
Absolutely.
favorite football teams. Whatever division they're in. They don't care who's watching it. If they get more exposure once in a while, like i.e. the FA Cup or the Champions League or Europa League, great. It's a thrill.
Right.
But when they're playing...
There's a lot of glory hunters and bandwagon jumpers.
Well,
You have to
but I'm saying that seems to be the case in
That's the
Toronto.
force of it.
You know.
Yes.
Anyway, that's
Takes
my
away.
little gripe as a native
It's like when I
Torontonian.
went to the first NFL game I ever attended,
Yeah.
which counted in the regular season, by the way. I can't remember which teams were playing. I think one of the teams was Jacksonville. A couple of years ago at Wembley. I'd never seen anything like it. So many American expats coming through the...
Well, of course, there's a lot of...
But obviously the English, the British population attending, there was a lot of them as well. And
Well,
all
it's
I
a
could see
market.
was a sea of 32 different NFL franchise jerseys. People just wearing all these
Well, of
different
course.
jerseys. I couldn't get it through my head. I go,
Well, it's
why
a-
aren't you wearing the uniforms or the
Well,
jerseys
it's a-
of the teams that are
because
on the
that's
pitch
all-
playing? It didn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Well, they're not going to switch allegiances, but it
No,
happens
but I
to be
mean,
an NFL
why
game.
wear all the NFL jerseys in a game
because
against?
it's a way of-
you want to just love in for the NFL?
It's a
What is
way.
that?
It's a way of connecting with other Americans or other football fans. That's all.
I couldn't grasp
Just like, okay, you like. Well, I'm a Chelsea supporter,
Correct.
so I'll wear a Chelsea shirt or jacket.
Yes.
So for the most part, you get a bit of a chuckle or a kibitz when you bump into fans of other clubs. They'll give you a little shot and a friendly.
Well, I was
way.
taking the
but
piss-
it's an icebreaker. That's all. It's an
Really?
icebreaker. Yeah, it's
Find
a way
it
to
kind
make a
of
conversation.
dodgy and odd in some
The
way.
odd person will be hostile, but the vast majority of people, it's a way to have
It's
a
like
laugh.
when you
or-
go to an NHL game, do you see people wearing all the jerseys of the NHL sitting in the
depends
stands
where-
arenas?
No, but this
If it's a Canucks or a Leafs
yeah,
game or
but
something like
yeah,
that, or
but
a Habs or a...
you can't
or
compare
does-
that to playing in London, England, where you're
Well, there's
there-
80,000, 90,000 fans in
yeah,
the
but
stadium.
most of them
wearing
aren't
all these-
Americans.
That's true, that's true. Either working there or
I'm
on
just saying.
holiday or just
Yeah,
making an
nothing
excuse
wrong
to
with it.
travel.
Good. It's a celebration of the sport,
Right.
so that's good. I think it's great that they wear whatever jerseys, and then
I think it's rather long in
it's
the
an
tooth, but
icebreaker. It's an
think it's a
icebreaker. It's a
cheeky
way to
thing to-
start a conversation with people.
I think it's a
because-
bit cheeky.
Well, I like it. I think it's great.
Really?
I think I'd like to see everybody in Europe
Embrace
who has
the
an
whole-
NFL jersey
Really?
go out and watch the games. By the
It
way,
gets confusing.
Put in another plug for Skate to Great. It's the reason why we're here. It's a great charity. Thanks to Evan Cosner and his staff. They sponsored my satellite radio show when I was on Sirius XM, and it's the reason that we're here doing this. So if you have a pair of skates to donate, you're not using them anymore, or your kids have outgrown them, get in touch with skatetogreat.org. You can find it online, obviously, quite easily, skatetogreat.org. Donate your skates, give some kids elsewhere in the country a chance to play hockey or just pleasure skating or figure skating, whatever the case may be. So it's skatetogreat.org. And we should thank the people who are giving us, we call it a bomb shelter. We're being a little facetious.
The air raid shelter, yeah.
Yeah, the air raid shelter. We see how
Titanium shack.
God forbid we should ever need one of those. But no, this is a shelter, so we should give them a plug also.
Absolutely, it's Storage Mart. We have still this great venue to shoot this wonderful show in, and as I said, Evan and his team do a phenomenal job.
Yeah, look at Evan is he's the director, he's the cameraman,
the head honcho, the
impresario.
In my history, he's a jack of all trades. I mean, he does.
In my history in broadcasting, I've never seen one person.
How does he juggle it all? One man gang.
He manages the Uber taxi people.
He coordinates everything. I couldn't do it even on one finger. This guy has so many things on the go in his head. I can't multitask. This guy is the best multitasker in the world today. I've never seen, even at his age, it astounds me. It will astound you too, Norm.
Well, yeah, and of course, it's always a good idea to, be nice to the person who signs your paycheck.
Absolutely. we want to give back the love, obviously.
God willing, the show comes back next season. We're here.
Yeah. We are so grateful, not only to Skate to Great, not only to Storage Mart, and the studio we have here, but to Evan Cosner and his team, tremendous people. Mr. Monaco couldn't be here as well, again, for the second time around since I've been a guest on the show, but I've got to tell you, it's a lot of fun, and to talk sports. Mostly we want to push the ice skating more than anything else, because we touched upon this last time, the charity itself, there's no other charity I've heard of quite like this that goes out of its way to go to great lengths to get ice skates in the hands of young children. And just to, the disadvantaged people who don't have the means to go out.
And by the way, there's nothing wrong with using secondhand skates. I grew up in a family where I wore my brother's skates. So I had secondhand shin pads, secondhand hockey pants, secondhand shoulder pads, and secondhand skates. In fact, I didn't have my own skates until I bought a pair of CCM Mustangs.
Oh, God.
I was about 15.
They
lasted about 15 years. They got the job done. I mean, they're not
the warranty was on there for the skate sharpening.
No, they were all right.
The blades,
They were all right. But anyway, I'm just saying, I learned how to skate and play hockey on second-hand skates. Nothing wrong.
Marvelous thing.
I was just happy to be on. I didn't have any sense of shame or deprivation.
I remember too, I used to go to Play It Again Sports and just go in there and get a second-hand pair right from them. And even renting skates, there's no harm in doing that. Renting skates for a nominal fee. There's something we know here, pleasure skating on weekends. And when you go for a pleasure skate or recreational skate, it's free ice time, so all the families can get kind of rather crowded and busy. But
that's okay. That's all.
If you're going out with your mum or your dad, or you're going with your taking the girlfriend or your brother or your sister or whoever, your siblings, it is so much fun. And remember, we talked about this last time. It doesn't even have to be an indoor ice rink. It could be outdoors in a makeshift seasonal rink.
Certain parts of the country,
certain
parts of the winter.
I talked about at school when we had those. You remember it when they just put those fences around and plastic fences or whatever, and they just basically flood the grass, and then on there you'd have a field with.
That's how I learned how to skate. You're right.
And on the side there'd be a thermos or something with hot chocolate, and you throw in the marshmallows and that, and you have a cuppa. It was great. That's a Canadian tradition. That's really something that we talk about shinny and all those things, but
we didn't have any hot chocolate. We froze our ass off playing outside.
Irving
Chaplin. When we go home and stick our frozen toes in front of the radiator, that's what we would do because our toes were like almost numb from either playing ball hockey.
Probably got those from Canadian Tire or somewhere, right?
No,
probably not.
No,
didn't exist then.
No. Anyway, so I have those great memories of playing ball hockey. And
it's such a true Canadian pastime. Like I said, I mean,
not anymore. I don't see kids playing street hockey anywhere.
That's a shame if that's true.
Well, apparently they're concerned because I don't know if the traffic rules have changed.
Right.
I don't want to comment on something I'm not familiar with.
In the neighborhoods, you mean, in the suburbs?
Well, I don't know what the civic bylaws are.
Because at school, all I remember was in between periods, or as a recess or a break.
Well, that's one thing in the school parking lot. That's different. I'm talking about on the street where you live, which is separate from the school.
Playing on asphalt too is a lot different than playing on ice. Let me tell you.
Well, yeah, but most of us of that generation, who are into our 50s or 60s or whatever dinosaur-like age we're at, we grew up playing ball hockey, and at the same time we learned how to skate. But ball hockey,
I mean, they've
was
taken
out. This is long before the computers and before there was like 2,000 TV
Sure,
channels.
absolutely.
So yeah, we used to spend most of our
That's
Saturdays
how to
and
be
Sundays.
really productive, not sitting in front of a telly.
Well, there's nothing
running
wrong.
in-
There's
Well,
nothing
no,
wrong
not
with
that
being on
the-
the internet or
that's
on
true,
TV.
that's
But
true,
the
I'll be
question.
on now.
I just think it'd be healthier for more kids to play outside. I mean, provided it's
It
safe.
always is getting
And,
fresh
yeah.
air and getting
Yeah.
to, you know,
Well,
get
just getting some exercise.
regular exercise,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I think all that's great, and I'd like to see more of it. But again, I'm not telling parents what to do.
And if you want to go out there and get lessons, if you can find a good instructor out there who you can afford, or you can talk to people who know it, who could just teach your friends or people who are skilled at it.
have like very affordable
That's true.
places.
And there's
where you
civic
can-
ice rinks too, outdoors
Yeah.
and indoors, where you can go and find an instructor. They'll give it to you for free. Even if your friend is really skilled or he's an ice hockey player, he can teach you power skating. That's another great activity.
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
that's more advanced. But I think
No, it
just the
is.
main thing is just learn how to
There
skate
are ice skating
and
camps.
enjoy it. You know,
There are
don't-
ice skating camps in the summer as well. Ice hockey
Well,
camps.
yeah, I
teach
mean-
skating on the side, and you can also do it on a dry. What they call them? Dry
Well, they're like there's certain form of
mylar or whatever they are.
plastic or
Yeah, and you use
fiberglass.
rollerblades on those.
But anyway, there's all kinds of ways to learn, and there's all kinds of inexpensive ways to learn. But anyways, you know, like I said, the main thing is we want you to consider if you have some skates you can donate, please do so. So it's skate2great.org.
You got it.
So, anyways,
Back to the drawing board here. And as for, let's go back to the CFL, Johnny Manziel becoming another famous,
Tiger Cat. Yeah.
famous,
Well, we'll see. He still has to-
controversial.
he's trying out. Well,
Yeah.
trying out. We'll see if
We remember when Ricky Williams got signed with the Argonauts, as well as Andre Rison and names like that. And obviously, there's a lot of controversy behind those athletes. Obviously, there's a lot of notoriety. They were very skilled and all-stars for their time in the National Football League, who managed to make that transition and actually became quite adept at playing well also in the Canadian Football League,
Yeah,
which can be a rarity of sorts too. You look at Warren, you go back to Warren Moon and people like that, and you know, I mean,
Warren Moon did exceptionally well in
He did.
both leagues.
He
So
did.
did Joe Theismann.
it's a rarity to
Joe
be.
Theismann-
It's not as easy as you think for some star, a bona fide star, or a future Hall of Famer in the National Football League to make the jump to the
Well, Warren Moon came to the Canadian Football League first because
Right.
the NFL did not fancy African American quarterbacks.
That was true at the
There's
time.
subtle or
Conrad
not so
Holloway
subtle
being, but
discrimination.
Conrad Holloway also
Well, Conrad Holloway went from the University of Tennessee to the
he
Toronto
made the
Argonauts.
jump straight from the amateur, being a
college. Well, a
university
lot of
athlete or college
yeah,
athlete.
Well, Joe
yeah.
Theismann went from Notre Dame to
That's
the Toronto
right, he did
Argonauts,
as well.
even though he was drafted to the NFL because he had a better chance to start here in Toronto. Here. And then he went to the NFL to
It's
Washington
kind of
Redskins.
ironic you don't see like a Canadian doing that, like a Mark Rippon, who is a tremendous quarterback, going first into the CFL, then going straight into the NFL from there. He just went straight in, you know. I mean, he was
there's
kind of very
few-
talented.
There's not that many Canadians
Quarterbacks.
who've done
Of that
well
skill
in
of
the
echelon.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard.
Pretty
for them.
remarkable.
But anyway, CFL is a great league, and
Let's see how Johnny Manziel, within the
well,
2 years,
we'll see. I mean, you know,
he may not last a year in the Hammer. Maybe
well,
he
he
might.
may have a great career. I'm not writing.
But
him
he's
off.
playing a tremendous. I mean, in terms of a market for Canadian Football League, Hamilton is pretty much second to none. I mean, their fan base is.
Well, I wouldn't say they're second to none. It's a pretty good market, but their fans are like everybody else. When the
Correct.
team struggles, they don't show up.
Right, that's true.
You know, when the team does well, they do show. They got a beautiful stadium, Tim Hortons Field.
You've seen
Great
it.
new stadium.
I've
Wow,
never been
yeah.
in there yet.
Yeah,
I still miss
so
Ivor
many
Wynn
years.
Stadium, by the way. Very historic.
Wow, that one I don't know was so great. It was nice that it was in a neighborhood. Obviously, there was homes all around it, so it was nice.
More of a
that way,
homey
but-
feel, like cozy
No,
in the confines.
I used to
Really?
hear stories from guys who played there
Oh,
on
really?
the old field, and when the steel mills were still operating in
Oh, you
Hamilton.
could see the fires.
No, they could find like all kinds of nasty little pollutants on the turf.
Oh dear.
That's what some of the players claimed back then. But anyway, all right, that's it from another. But Tim Hortons Field is a beautiful, beautiful stadium. So good for the people in Hamilton. They deserve it.
Obviously,
They
for a
deserve
working
good
class
team.
town like that, blue collar
All
town.
right, so we got to wrap this up. So again,
that's it, okay.
Yeah,
We're
we
at
want to
time
thank skate2great.org and Evan Cosner. So again, if you got skates to donate, please, it goes to kids who families can't afford. So please look them up online, skate2great.org. So thanks, great
Thank you.
rapping and debating and fighting a little bit. And thanks
healthy.
to Evan Cosner, who's been a big supporter of mine on radio and now here.
Cheers, Evan.
And thanks to our friends here who allowed us to use their storage facility.
Absolutely, Storage Mart. They've done a tremendous. They've given us a
You need
tremendous
storage,
space.
folks. This feels like a condo. I love it. Imagine how your furnishings
Sweet.
and other stuff you want to store. Yeah, some live human beings enjoying Storage Mart.
Nobody
It's
knows where
beautiful.
this is. Nobody has a clue where we are.
It's nice and warm. I mean, God, all I need is like my sleeping bag and a little,
Yeah, it would be nice sometime
porta
to do
potty or porta potty, whatever you call it.
A John in the corner, a bog in the corner.
Yeah, thanks to Storage Mart. Thanks to Skate the Great. Thanks to Evan Cosner. Thanks to you for tuning us in. We'll talk to you real soon.